Hi, everyone, and welcome back to It All Starts with a Wish podcast. My name is Rachel.
And I'm Mark.
And today we are talking ride queues.
Before we talk about ride queues, though, I want to indicate to folks that there is a different setup today. We are trying really hard. We have now surpassed 200 downloads for this podcast. Thank you to all of you who listen. Whoop. Hopefully 200 more to come very soon, and we just want to continue to build the audience and continue to build this. But because people are actually listening to this, we figured, hey, we might try to make it sound a little bit better, right? There's nothing worse than a podcast. The whole point of this, from the very beginning, we've tried very hard to sound as professional and as high quality of a sound as humanly possible, because there's nothing worse than a podcast when people are using different platforms and it just sounds like complete and utter crud.
More like underwatery.
You know what I'm talking about. I think we've all seen it. It ain't good, okay? This is a podcast. We want it to sound good. So we're trying a new setup with microphones. So let us know what you think about whether or not it actually helps and it's sounding better.
I mean, it's different having two microphones here now.
It's great.
No, it is great. And I do think it will help with volume and clarity and all of that.
And as the person
stuff
who edits these things, trust me, it'll help with editing.
Oh, it definitely will.
So anyways, that was my little sidetrack. What are we talking about today?
So we're talking about ride queues, a.k.a. the line that you wait in.
Yeah, Disney doesn't like to call it a line because line is not fun. But you call it a fancy name like a queue, and I don't know.
It somehow is more fun.
It is.
Yeah. So
it does work. I'll give them that.
It does work because I'm gonna wait in a line. No, I'm gonna wait in a queue.
We're gonna queue
fancier.
It up. It does sound very fancy.
So you've heard us talk a lot about the Disney Imagineering and the attention to detail and all of that stuff that Disney does very, very, very well. Mm-hmm. And how they keep you in the story the whole time. And it's kind of, everything feels like an immersive experience. Well, maybe not everything, but they do. The theming is there. It's you're in Disney. And with the rides, they do the same thing. And they keep it in the story from the moment you walk up to the line queue till you get on the ride and even walking out. It all is one big story. So they do a really good job, especially with the newer rides. Mm-hmm. And they've updated some rides. One of them is on my list. They've updated some line queues to help with that process and keeping you entertained in long lines too, because it can get a little long sometimes. So a lot of games and little extra things in there.
And originally when we were talking about doing this, we were like, let's pick our top 5 and let's compare our top 5 queue list.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started to think about it, and I did a little bit of research, and I wrote down all the rides that have really cool queues. And I was like, holy moly, almost all of them are. To try to narrow this down to 5, I don't know if I could. So I think instead we're going to just talk about it.
I still think I could make a top 5.
I don't know if I could, man. There's so many cool rides with cool queues.
Well, yeah.
Starting with, for example,
let's start with Caribbean. Okay, I was going to say, let's start with like a park.
We all know that I love Pirates of the Caribbean. I've talked about it in the first episode. The detail in that queue, you walk into this Spanish New World castle, fort, I guess, more than a castle, but it's the Castillo de Muertos. It's the Castle of Death.
The light is very dim.
Very foreboding. But you literally feel like you're walking into a
dungeon.
A New World Spanish castle.
Yeah.
A Spanish fort. And so you're walking in, and then you walk by all of the armory and the different weapons. And then even to the point of the skeletons, one of my favorites is in one particular part of the queue, you can look down, and there are skeletons playing chess.
This is a fun little, I don't know what you would call it, like a Mickey fact.
Yeah.
I don't
know. And so one of the key Imagineers in all of this, Mark Davis, I believe it was Mark Davis, loved chess.
Yeah.
And these two skeletons are playing a chess game in which nobody is going to win. They are in an eternal
Like a
draw,
stalemate.
an
Yeah.
eternal stalemate. The way that the board
You'd have to
is
know
set
chess
up.
to look at it. Like if I
Right.
just looked, I'd probably be like, they're just playing chess. But if you actually know the game, if you look at the pieces, they're actually set up in a way.
It's a draw. Nobody's going to
would-
win. Nobody's
neither
ever
would
going
win.
to lose. Like, it's a draw.
Neither one can make a move.
And they're both
And it's just
skeletons.
funny 'cause
So it's like they've been
sat
stuck
there.
there forever. Like, it's little things like that. For those who know about it, or even if you don't know about it, it's those little details that just, for me, drive home the fact that every last thing is thought of.
Yeah.
From the moment that you walk through and into the very front part of that line, through the entire experience as you're walking through this fort, to the time that you get on that boat and you're sailing off into the world of pirates, that line is just amazing.
It's just an extension of the ride.
It
like
is.
you're already on a ride.
Yeah.
Like
And-
you're already there. You're already in the story. You're already looking at like, wow, look at this. Look
And
at
why
that, look at
this is so tough is that arguably every single ride has elements of this. Thunder Mountain, right?
Okay,
you are
yeah,
full
but-
on going to the prospecting world of the ride, and you're going by all these little details.
Okay,
in
but
the
like
line.
the Barnstormer, the teacups,
Even that does a little bit. The Barnstormer,
the line,
yeah, a little bit.
maybe the land that it's in, but like not as much as others. There
Okay,
are
maybe not
ones
as
that
much
are
as others,
lower on the
but
list.
those are very few and far between. Even
they
something
are.
as simple as Buzz Lightyear, like when you're walking through that line,
Yeah.
that Buzz Lightyear animatronic
But I
is
wouldn't.
pretty darn awesome.
I wouldn't say. See, that's not one that would be on my top 5.
No, I wouldn't say it's on my
Oh.
top 5 either. I'm just saying that this is amazingly difficult because almost every single ride.
Yes, but there are ones that are very much stand out against other rides.
I think there are more that stand out than don't stand out.
Yeah, yeah. But there's other ones that shine just
Thunder
a little
Mountain.
brighter.
Big Thunder Mountain, great example. Haunted Mansion. Okay, from the very moment that you walk into that ride queue, you're walking through the graveyard. You're walking into the building. You get your pre-show. That whole experience of loading onto that ride, from the very moment that you walk through those entrance gates, even with the fact that if it's a walk-on, it's not just 5 minutes, it's 13 minutes because it's the Haunted Mansion.
Okay, I'm sorry. Jeez.
Okay? Peter Pan.
Okay, that was the one on my list for Magic Kingdom that they definitely did some upgrades to.
They did upgrades too. There's
And
now
it
a
is
lot of
super cool and
interactivity.
interactive things now. So that's definitely one that got a little facelift.
Something worth noting too, if you go through the Lightning Lane queue, and this is oftentimes the case, sometimes it's worth just waiting in the line to experience the
Yeah,
queue.
and this is something that we've experienced firsthand. You know, back before it was Lightning Lanes and it was just Fast Pass, you got to choose, 3 ahead of time on each day at one park. So we were very into planning and knew exactly where we were going, what we were doing, how we were going to time it, got other Fast Passes. Even now with Lightning Lane, we know we would get up at 7, either join a virtual queue or get a Lightning Lane or buy Genie Plus or whatever it is that we have to do. So we very rarely ever waited in a standby queue line. So the times that we did, I can actually remember the time that we went with my family back in maybe 2016.
must have been,
Yeah. We stood in line. It wasn't too long of a wait, probably 30 minutes for Peter Pan. We didn't have a Fast Pass at that time. It was Fast Pass, blah, blah, blah. But we were like, wow, this is actually really cool. And we never would have seen it.
Yeah, you play with Tinkerbell, you play
Yeah.
with Peter Pan's shadow. Like, there's a lot
The
of
shadow
cool-
was cool.
There's a lot of cool stuff.
And the
that queue.
detail in the rooms and the kids' toys and their beds. And it's definitely, if you're a Peter Pan fan, it's worth waiting in the line to get that whole experience
Yeah.
of that.
Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, another one with an amazing queue.
Yep.
And some of the technology that they put in place there. I'm thinking of like the diamonds and the jewels that you spin around, and then on the ceiling it casts, if you're spinning them, the different characters on the ceiling.
That is cool.
You feel like you're walking into their mine. Like,
yep. You're underground.
Totally
you go
immersive.
like underground into this mountain. Like as you go through, you're with all their mining tools, like cleaning the gems, like all the processes of like, we're cleaning the gems with the water troughs, and there's water coming down, and then you go into the mountain, and then it's a little dark and a little more, all that stuff.
Tron.
I'm interested to see what you say, because I
think that general theme, right, and the nature, I think that they did a good job of capturing the movies in the queue. I think that the coolest part of that queue, though, is when you're in the pre-show room.
Yeah.
And the frosted glass just goes away, and you watch as the cars take off.
Yeah.
Like, that is a really cool effect. But aside from that, I wasn't overly impressed with the Tron queue.
No. And I do think I think, like you said, I think it's just a hard movie to, like, encapsulate into, it's very easy to take a children's movie and then bring it to life. Whereas something like Tron is a little harder to actually make those things real, because they're not. So they do their best, and I think it's still really cool. And even, like, the lockers, and I honestly think it was, like, kind of the smallest, silliest thing. But I was like, oh my God, the lockers are the same. We're on the other side, and that's why we can get our stuff. Like, because I always thought when I went to the lockers, I'm like, how are they going to deal with this traffic of people coming on and off? And then we get off the ride, and we go to the lockers again, and I'm like, wait, I didn't put my thing in for... I was like, what is happening? I was kind of all tripped out. I don't know why. It was like mind-blowing.
That they would use the other side of the locker?
Yeah. I was like, wow, that is something. But that's why they get the big bucks.
Folks, as you can tell, it's the little things in life that really impress Rachel.
It's the little things. You don't need something really fancy. I was like, wow, smart. I get it. Anyway. And we can all mourn.
For kids, too.
Oh.
When you think about Winnie the Pooh, right?
Yeah.
That's not an over-the-top line.
No, it's not.
But there's a lot of cool, almost playground.
Well, they added that honey wall.
Yeah,
to touch.
Sure.
Like, so they have added
There's
like other technology.
But I'm thinking of like the more playground, like you're in Rabbit's
like the garden.
Like some of that tactile stuff for kids is really cool and good. And Dumbo too. Ever since they redid the Big Top thing, where you can actually have the kids play in
while they wait, which is
area while they wait.
Really cool.
You don't oftentimes see lines at Dumbo now that there's the two different ride vehicles that long that often, but that is a nice touch too.
Yeah. No, it really is. Well, what I was going to say before was we can all take a second to mourn Splash Mountain, but I do feel like it needs a little shout out with the queue, because that was another one. You're going in, you didn't really know. I mean, it's kind of like I got it, kind of like I kind of got where I was going at first. The only thing, maybe you can answer this for me. I didn't understand when you're on the outside and you're walking in, when you go up the stairs, what kind of building like are you in? Like, I get once we're like in the mountain, it's like everyone's like little.
I think you're
home.
In like a loft, like an old barn kind of thing.
Yeah, that's how it like feels. But I personally never saw like the movies or like followed like any of that, so I didn't know if it had anything more symbolic to do with. But anyway,
no, I don't think so.
Yeah, even through that, the walls look wet. They're not, but like they have like all that detail in there, and you're always completely in there. But I feel like that one needed a little shout out, because like the shadows of like
that was definitely a cool. That was
a
cool line too.
That was a cool line, but we are excited to see Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
Yeah, I
do think that whole area is going to get a major technological update, which it needed, the whole ride system. So we're excited to see that, because that will probably be on the list, maybe in the future.
Sure.
Anything else in Magic Kingdom really stick out to you?
I think that those are kind of the major ones. Definitely Pirates, Haunted Mansion, Mine Train, and Peter Pan, I would say, are your very top tier of ride queues at the Magic Kingdom. Jungle Cruise also deserves a little bit of a shout out. Like, that's a cool queue with some little
that you can read,
details
and
and
it's
some of
kind
the
of funny.
exotic, crazy animals that they have on display and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that
But like,
those
see, like
four are
something
kind
like
of
It's
your
a
top
Small
tier.
World.
Meh.
That doesn't have anything for me.
No, not as much. No.
I mean, the ride itself has so much detail.
Do.
No, I know, but I'm just saying
I
that
think
there's.
this is tougher than you're making it out to be. That's all I'm saying.
Well, maybe it's tougher for you, but it's not
Epcot.
as tough for me. Epcot. Well,
Finding Nemo.
well, yeah.
That
I feel like is the first one that you think. I am
not
always.
just because we rode it like 5 times with Luke this past trip.
We did, but I am also kind of sad because it's maybe when it like was first opened, there was much more hype about it and there was like longer lines, but I feel like it never has like that long of a line, so like you miss a lot of it because you're just like quickly walking through it and you're just like whatever. Like there was sometimes where I never looked up.
Yeah, and you never saw the butt. The boat.
Seriously.
That was a reference to the movie.
I know.
Nemo touched the butt.
And like just how like you're on a beach and then
Nemo swimming out to sea.
Are you done?
Sorry. Yes.
Okay.
But yes, you start at a beach.
At a beach, you go underwater. It's the corroded.
Under the sea.
No.
That's another good line. I forgot about it.
You think that's a good line?
Yeah.
I don't think it's that great.
That whole outside part where you're going by all the waterfalls and then you see Scuttle. Come on, man. This is at Magic Kingdom, by the way, folks. I'm going back on a tangent there. I think that one is worthy of mention, at least.
Yes, it is.
Back to Finding Nemo.
Okay. Again, another one, though, Little Mermaid, you kind of just walk right through. Mm-hmm. So I feel like it was like anticipated for there to be longer lines than there really is, but that's fine. Finding Nemo, definitely the one that sticks out to me the most. The next one would be Frozen Ever After.
Frozen has a very good queue.
That one has a really good queue. Yes. And most of it is inside.
Yes.
Which is nice.
Yes.
Most of these are inside.
But yeah, what they did to what was Maelstrom, the former ride, to inhabit the Norway Pavilion, and kind of just re-theming and shaping some of that, like really cool details with like the, whatever his name is there, the hut. Oaken's trading post.
Yoo-hoo.
Big summer blowout.
And he like comes up in the fog and he like talks to you and he draws Olaf, and so there are like really cool things, and just like it looks like you're outside in Arendelle. Yeah, and it just that forced perspective that they use to make it look like, you know, that's their castle, it's far away. So that's also a really cool one. That it is dark in there though. That's the only thing that I think I complain about with that one, is just like, especially if you're midday outside and like all of a sudden
intended to be at night.
I know, but it's just you're
not visiting Arendelle during the day.
I know, but it's just a harsh difference is what I'm saying.
It's
like, whoa, my eyes need time to adjust, you know? Okay, next.
Remy's Ratatouille Adventure.
Yes.
That ride line is very cool. They did a very good job.
And I think
the whole new addition to the France Pavilion in general, that
is just very cool.
Of it, I think they did a fantastic
I think that
job. Love that fountain.
Knowing more about the queue and like why they made it and how they made it makes it that more interesting when you go through it. Because there's some things I think you miss if you don't know. You might not.
You're making a transition from being a human to being a rat.
Yeah.
In the line. And there are details of even like floor tiles
getting much bigger
and such, changing shape as you go through the queue, because you are transitioning. You
start with like the regular walls, but then everything starts getting a lot bigger because you're shrinking. Like, not actually, so it's not actually shrinking, but it makes you look like it. And then you get to the rooftop area, which is really cool, with Gusto himself coming to life. Yes. That is another cool one. That is a really cool one. And I like the theme behind it, like becoming a rat.
Yeah.
So,
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
What a job they did with that ride. all around.
I mean,
You
we talked
cannot
about
hear me
Guardians
speak
already,
highly
but it
enough
is
about the ride itself.
it is so
But the
good.
queue and this idea of these people, I forget, what are they called? They call us Terrans. What are they? The Nova Corps or whatever they
Yeah,
are.
we're like Epcotians.
Yes.
What is it?
No, but we're Terrans.
Oh, like we're Earth people?
We're Earthlings, yeah. And then they're like the Nova Corps and they do all these things. Whatever. Sorry, not a Guardians of the Galaxy
What do they
fan
call
in the
you
movies,
guys?
but
Epcotians. Or some
yes.
people say alcoholics.
Perhaps in some cases.
That's funny.
Anyways, that whole idea of you're walking through a museum and the nods to not only the creation of Epcot, and there's some Walt nods in there, which we always like, but also some references to Ellen's Universe of Energy, the ride that formerly inhabited that place. Yep. And then at the end, even, sometimes the post queue does not get enough credit, but in that case, because this whole thing has been messed up,
yeah,
you are leaving that ride and you're backstage.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to be seeing it as you walk down that staircase and out as if you're a cast member, because that's not supposed to be the exit.
Yeah.
And if you've noticed, you do not exit on that ride through the gift store.
You don't.
Because it's not the way that you were intended,
It's
because
not,
the whole thing got messed up. Like, it's part of the storyline that you are being dumped out, not where you're supposed to be if things went according to plan. But now that you've saved the universe,
do you think it's funny that
you're
it
getting
never
dumped
goes
out
according
back.
to plan?
Listen, don't ruin the magic.
And we always get that dino.
Don't ruin the magic.
Just
That's
saying.
a different park.
I know. It's just
Anyways,
another one that I
Guardians,
think of.
well worth it. You're not going to like this one, but I think it's true. Mission Space. That queue.
Okay, but I've only been in
sick.
there like 2 times, so I really haven't paid attention. And most times I've been kind of stressed about the ride.
That queue is sick. It's unbelievable. Sick in a good way, although the ride may make you sick. Also, that line, that queue is very, very, very cool.
Yeah. I don't really remember.
As someone who wanted to be an
all
astronaut.
I remember is like the first family on Mars, like little pictures. That's literally all I remember. Like right in the beginning.
They have a whole section where it's like actual people who've actually gone into space, and then like into the future,
and then,
like the first dog to land on the moon and things like that. It's cute.
The moon?
But yeah, the moon.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Mars.
I was being funny.
Oh.
There's like animals that like land on different planets too that are there.
I don't pay attention. I don't like that ride.
I love that ride. As someone who wanted to be an astronaut, that's the coolest ride.
No.
I love that ride. I feel like you're taking off into space.
Awful.
I love it.
Terrible.
Oh, stop it. Anyways, I think that those are definitely the top tier of queues in Epcot.
I think maybe one nod would be Test Track, but I think it was better before they redid it. But if you're into cars and you're into all of that cool stuff, then it does have some cool stuff to look at as far as designing and models and how they do it.
Yeah.
I think it's a specific interest, kind of like space would be too. Like, if you're not that into it,
I would agree though that I think that the queue before in the first
with the crash dummy
Test Track 1.0,
you're in it,
I think that was better than 2.0. But now soon to be reimagined in 3.0, so I'm pretty excited about that.
I know. It'll be interesting to see.
Also, very subtle in this ride, in this queue, but I do think it's cool. Soarin'. You do feel like you are in
an airport
terminal. Yeah. And I think that is cool. There's not a lot of flourish. You have the little games that you can play.
Yeah, but no, you're in a.
But it does
carpeted tunnel track.
Yeah, it's nothing over the top, but it does meet the theming of the ride.
It does.
Which I think is.
It doesn't
important.
like amp you up, but it does kind of give you that feel. Mm-hmm. So it does its job.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Hollywood Studios.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Where do you start?
I know.
This is what I mean.
Okay. Well,
we're gonna have to do these quick because
I know we're running out of time.
Start on Sunset.
Oh, I was gonna do Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway first.
Okay. Sure.
Really cool. Completely immersive. Stepping into a cartoon. The thing explodes. All of that fun stuff. Even the cast members' outfits change, which is a really cool thing.
Yeah, everything. Once you
are in Cartoon World.
Go into Cartoon World, everything changes,
Yeah.
which is so cool. And then when you leave again, post queue, people may not notice this, but you walk through the screen again
Yep.
and back out into the real world. So really, really
Yeah,
cool.
there's not like an exit. You like came out the way you came in.
That's right. You
type
walk
of
back
thing.
out of the screen.
Yeah.
You're out of the cartoon now.
Yeah. So yeah.
very cool.
That's
I
a really,
agree.
really cool one.
And they did a good job of keeping the front part of it in that kind of Chinese theater theming. And
Yeah, you
look.
still have like the nostalgia of like the theater and the red and the like. You still get that
Hints to the
feeling.
great movie ride.
Yeah, you still have that because you are going to see a premiere
Mm-hmm.
of this movie, of this short, of this animated short. So you still have that whole theater feel.
Sunset.
Sunset,
Come on.
Tower of Terror.
Unbelievable.
Do we tell people that it's real skin cells and dust?
Yeah, they just let the dust accumulate. It's fine.
Yuck.
In cobwebs.
They have like this glue gun that's just like hot glue, and then when they spray it, like they just let it drape over everything, and then they just let nature do its thing,
Yeah.
which is
So it's actual dust.
Kinda
in the
gross.
Tower of Terror. It's pretty cool though. But everything from walking through the courtyard and into the actual building,
Yeah.
into the lobby, like just the attention to detail there.
the
You go
boiler room
into-
even.
Yeah, you go into the library, you watch your video, and then you're in the boiler room. Like it is an all around.
But yeah, there's so many Easter eggs to talk about, so we could do a whole other Easter egg thing about rides.
Yeah. Rock and Roller Coaster.
Rock and Roller Coaster
Brought to you by Aerosmith.
wouldn't be up on my list, I don't think,
Really?
for Hollywood Studios.
Wow. I
I think
that's
it's
so
cool.
cool that you're walking into the record studio.
Well,
you have the
yes,
whole
right before
experience.
But before that, it's
Make
not
it a
anything
stretch,
fun.
a super stretch, and then you walk out into the back and you're in the back
Like
alley.
before
so
you're
cool.
talking with Aerosmith, though, it's just a ride. It's just a line to me. Like you're going into the building, and like I guess the cool things
You're
that
walking
they've
through the studio and like your names appear on some of the
well, that's what I was
boards
gonna
and
say.
stuff.
They've updated things, so like when your names appear, they'll be like Rachel live in concert, and you're like, that's me. So yeah, that is cool. And then, how about some backstage passes? Like,
I love that idea. How
Wait a
about
minute.
some backstage passes?
that was not a good impression.
Am I Steven Tyler?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Then don't expect a good impression.
Okay. But I do think the parking lot and then pulling up to the red carpet at the end and all of that stuff is really cool. But I just don't know if it would. I don't know.
All of the rides in Toy Story Land. That whole land does an incredible job of making you feel like you're
Yeah,
immersed.
I was going to say the lines itself just kind of bleed into the rest of the land. Like, I don't really feel like there's.
But like in Slinky Dog Dash, like you see the box that
Yeah.
Andy was putting together with the directions, an alien swirling saucer. You're in the middle of toys and blocks and things as you're walking onto
Toy
the
Story
ride.
Mania
Come on, you're in Andy's room under the bed.
Yeah.
Like that's freaking
and
cool.
Mr. Potato Head.
And Mr. Potato Head talk much? No. And the Mr. Potato Head. Mr. Potato Head animatronic.
Are you okay?
I am not.
Okay. But I feel like the other ones are just kind of like your typical like walk through metal things, but there's things like because you're in the land and it's already so immersive, then it's not like Slinky Dog Dash or Alien Swirling Saucers are like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like they're outside, they're not like storytelling, I guess. It's just the land. Like it's just it just bleeds into everything. It's just all connected.
Well, it's the same thing in Star Wars Land too, I would argue.
Yeah.
Like both the Millennium Falcon, Smuggler's Run, and Rise of the Resistance. Like both of those cues, you are in Star Wars. I don't care what you say. You are on the planet Batuu, and you are totally immersed in that.
I think it's
And even Star Tours, which is not on Batuu, but in the main part of the park, even the Star Tours queue.
No, even that queue is cool because you walk through those trees in the beginning.
Yeah. And you have the big AT-ATs,
Yeah.
I think that they're called. Yeah, they're AT. Those things are AT-ATs. At.
Jinx. Stop. Get out of my head. Yes, I do. So I think that the newer lands, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge and Toy Story Land, both just have that amazing theming just throughout. It just never stops. It's not like you have Rock and Roller Coaster, Tower of Terror, and they're completely separate stories. Like, you know what I mean? Like, those lands are just a big continuation.
Yep.
The story never stops.
So what we're saying is every ride in Hollywood Studios has a great queue.
Oh.
Animal Kingdom.
There's no other ones in Hollywood Studios?
We've covered all the major rides in Hollywood Studios.
There's no other smaller ones?
Every single ride in Hollywood Studios,
Wow.
I would argue, the queue
Well, I do have to say, though, there's not many.
is good.
I've heard people say, like, that's the one thing it's lacking is that, well, I think now with the addition of Star Wars and Toy Story Land, that has definitely upped the ante with Hollywood Studios. But there's not as many because they're all bigger rides. Like, there's not, like, these small ones. Like, you're not going to have, like, flying carpets and Dumbo and teacups. And, like, those are, like, little rides. And then you have, like, the big ones. But, wow, okay. Well, I didn't know Hollywood Studios would be that quick.
Animal Kingdom.
All right. Well, first off, you just have to say Avatar Flight of Passage.
Yeah, that is one of the most unbelievable ride queues in all of Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
That one I would confidently put near the top of the list.
If you had a top 5?
If I had a top 5, that is definitely in the top 2.
Yeah. It is, again, it's a bleed over from the land into the queue. Seamless transition. You're going up. You have these beautiful mountains. You have real water and fake water. You have all of everything you can imagine of being in a jungle on a different planet. You have the touches of the Na'vi culture and cave drawings and all of this cool stuff. Then you go into the laboratory, and that is when people are blown away. When they have the actual life size, bigger than life size for them, for the Na'vi character, in the floating tank.
Yeah.
And that is really cool. That was one of them that we didn't see that line queue for a little while because we would go and we would always do the fast pass, and you don't get any of that stuff.
Not at the level. No.
You get the theming, but you don't get all of it. You get the full experience.
I'll say that Avatar's Flight of Passages, I should say, the other ride in the land,
Na'vi River Journey.
not as good of a queue, but still immersive.
Yeah, definitely
Not as
just
impressive.
kind of switchbacks and you're kind of waiting. But that ride itself is like really cool.
It is really cool.
So,
But even those switchbacks are within the theming of the land.
oh yeah.
Like you're in a hut of some
Yeah,
sort.
yeah. And the poles and dividers and stuff are still just as much as part of, all of the theming. But that whole land is really cool, especially at night. So if you can get there at night, it's depending on the time of year, because it doesn't get dark in the summertime as early as the park closes. So definitely into those winter months is where you can experience that nighttime magic a little more.
Jumbo, everyone.
And welcome to
Kilimanjaro Safaris.
another really cool one.
Yeah, the details in this one, you're walking into like the warden's office as you're making your way towards
So
your
this one, I want to argue, had a little more. It has leftovers right now of Kilimanjaro Safaris 1.0 with the actual going after poachers theme and how you were kind of on a ride along to like see that kind of stuff. And then you find the little baby elephant and then yay, and it's all fine. So that's where Simba 1 comes from. And you're always on Simba 1
is the
isn't
name
that
of the vehicle. That is correct. You are always on Simba.
It's always
1. I wonder why, Rachel. It's magic that you're always on Simba.
You want to know something?
We always manage to get on Simba
This
1.
was probably only
It's
a
almost
few
like
years
they
ago
call every
that
single...
I figured that out.
It's almost like they call every single ride vehicle Simba 1.
Weird, but I literally have to tell you, and this is a confession that I'm making, that it really was not that long ago that we were getting off of the ride, and they said Simba 1, and it was one of the times like at night where we had rode it more than once, and then we went on it again, and it said Simba 1, and I'm like, what are the chances in my head? And I'm like, oh, because they say if you're a wilderness explorer, you are on Simba 1. I'm like, aren't you always on Simba 1? But anyway, it's a blonde moment.
So anyways, great queue on Kilimanjaro Safaris.
I mean, I definitely think it could be better as far as it is just kind of walking.
But again, I think it fits the theme well.
Yeah. No, it does. It's
Everest.
not standout-ish. Everest is very cool.
Expedition Everest, Legend of the Forbidden Mountain, the full name of the
That
ride.
is a very big mouthful.
That queue.
But that queue is so cool.
You're like going through a Yeti museum. It's so cool. Even one of my favorite people, Josh Gates, Expedition Unknown, Travel Channel, shameless plug here. I'm not going to get anything from this plug.
No, you're not.
Like that show. Sure, it's a lot of drama and it's all done up for TV. But I enjoy Expedition Unknown. He's even in the museum. It is so cool. You feel like it's actual Yeti artifacts that you're looking at.
It is, Mark. I do you want me to make another confession that I
That's
really
like
did
not
think
every
that was real.
car is Simba 1 at Kilimanjaro Safaris.
It's not.
Uh-huh.
Yep. Even before that though, even before you get into the museum,
Abominable Snowman.
the
Bumbles bounce.
Stop. People aren't even going to know what that means, probably. Maybe they
It's
do.
a Rudolph reference.
I know, but maybe they don't watch Rudolph. I don't know.
Uncultured.
Okay. Anyways.
Very cool.
Before that, though, you get a lot of that Himalayan culture.
You do the prayer, the prayer flags.
Yes, all of those flags everywhere. Even the the altars that they have set up with the food and offerings of money, which they should clean out because people really do throw their money in there.
Joe Rohde, one of our favorite Imagineers.
He went there.
Instrumental.
Yeah, he went there, and
he and others went there.
Yeah, I know other people went there, but they did their research on the culture and the people, and they really tried to bring it back.
They did.
Which they did.
And I think they did a very good job. Dinosaur. The Dino Institute? Come on.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Bill Nye, the science guy.
Yeah, I was going to say, what else are you going to call him?
I was going to add a few more descriptors in there that would not have been appropriate. Bill Nye, the science guy, is even there.
Yes. No, it is a cool ride. And then one of the cool parts...
Well, not even the ride, though. The ride is cool.
No,
but
the queue. No, I know. You're going into a museum.
And there's a dinosaur skeleton. And who doesn't like a big dinosaur skeleton? It's not a T-Rex.
I don't like dinosaurs.
It's a whatever that thing is. A dinosaur that's not a T-Rex, but looks like it. A Carnosaurus.
Yes.
It's also amazing, Rachel, how every time we manage to come back, and we come back with the iguanodon in question.
I know. And they're still looking for him.
He's still walking around the Dino Institute.
Aimlessly.
They can't find him.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Thanks for everything.
You're not going to make it. You're not going to make it.
We made it. Every time we make it. Weird. That's just, wow.
I knew you would. Anyways.
That one's a cool one because it was, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was sponsored originally by McDonald's.
It was.
And when they did it, there's a white, red, and yellow piping that goes throughout the Dino Institute on the inside once you get inside that area. And there's the...
where you load onto the cars,
And
those are the chemical symbols for ketchup, mustard, and mayo.
Yeah, on those pipes is the chemical write-up of ketchup, mustard, and mayo. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you kind of think it's something cooler than it's wow, it's look at these gases. No, ketchup, mustard, and mayo. But
So,
you know.
are you on my team now of there are so many rides that this is incredibly difficult to just say 5?
Yes, but I could argue that I could pick my favorite 5 right now. Like, I think it would change.
I don't think I could, but what are your favorite 5?
I think I'm going to start with the number 1, and that would probably be Avatar, Flight of Passage.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, I'm going to go Pirates, because I think it's a real nostalgia thing.
It's classic.
It's a classic. I mean, you can't put it lower than that. You can't. Number 3, and we talked about it briefly, would be Big Thunder Mountain.
Wow, that high, huh?
Yeah, I do really like it. I think it's really cool. See, it's like I need them all written out in front of me to see like which ones I'm like forgetting.
This is my point, though.
Just give me a second.
I think it's just too tough. I don't think that you can just pick 5.
Well,
I would agree with you that Avatar...
Switch Big Thunder Mountain and put Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. And then put Big Thunder Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And then Haunted Mansion. There you go.
I just think it's too tough. I do agree with you that I think that Avatar is the best. I think that 1 and 2 have to be Pirates because of the nostalgia and just the detail and immersion that you feel in that ride.
And it's just such a Disney...
And Avatar Flight of Passage. I do think that those two are
So you're
superior.
saying the other ones can kind of
But the other ones are all...
They can all be pretty even.
They're all so solid that
Even Star Wars? You wouldn't put Star Wars above some of the other ones?
I don't know that I would, honestly. Compared to an Everest or compared to any number of other rides. Peter Pan, Everest, Remy's,
Do you notice that
Guardians.
Peter Pan didn't make my list?
I did.
Guardians didn't either.
But I'm just saying that any of these, I think
could.
are all good contenders.
Yeah. I'm just saying it's a personal
The moral
preference.
of the story is that almost all of the wait lines in Walt Disney World are part of the ride, and that I would argue that although you're waiting to actually ride the ride, your experience starts from the moment that you walk through the entrance to that ride and will continue all the way until you leave that ride, which is a level of immersion and a level of detail and just feeling for the theming in these places that you're not going to get anywhere else. In no other theme park are you getting that level for so many rides so consistently, which is what I would argue sets Disney ahead of all of its other competitors. You're not getting that at Six Flags. You're not getting that at whatever. Not even at Universal.
Is that why you said that? Because I was looking at you?
Yeah. There are certain rides in Universal,
yes.
but consistently.
Yes, okay, I get what you're saying. Like, each one consistently.
I will
has
not
the same
argue that
level.
Harry Potter Land in the rides and Harry Potter World, whatever. I don't like Universal. I will not argue that.
That's okay.
Let it be publicly
still do.
known. Rachel can plan a trip for you to Universal, though, should you want to go to Universal.
Yes.
Don't let that hold you back, although I do not like it. Well, folks, this has been a fun one. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Please let us know what your favorite queues are in Walt Disney World. We always love to hear from you. If you got any ideas about episodes that you'd like us to cover, things that you'd like us to talk about.
You know what we didn't say?
What did we not say?
Space Mountain. You don't like that one? It makes me kind of dizzy.
It's cool, but it's not like, I don't know.
It makes me kind of dizzy when you're walking through and you're like, whoa.
But it is immersive.
I only said that because I like
If you were walking in space, you know what? You probably would be dizzy.
I probably would be. I only want to add this because I liked the exit queue before they changed it when you were on that little conveyor belt and you looked at all the little things. I liked it. Anyway, follow us on social media.
Follow us on our social media accounts, Facebook and Instagram, for all of the latest updates, news, and all that kind of stuff. Definitely subscribe and follow this podcast on the platform of your choosing so that we get all those updates and notifications when we post. And if you're not familiar with when we post a new episode every Monday at 6 a.m., just in time for your Monday morning commute.
And who doesn't want to start Monday with a little magic?
That's true.
You know?
Don't our voices just brighten your day?
We'll serenade you.
one of our listeners informed us that he listens to us when he goes to bed and we put him to sleep every night. I don't know whether that's a compliment or not, but thank you. We love to hear
it is a family member.
It is a family member. Anywho's, if you would like to reach out to us, definitely send us an email at startswithawish.podcast@gmail.com. And remember, folks, it all starts with a wish. We'll see you real soon.
Bye.